Hey guys, alright? Welcome everyone! In 358 BC on the Macedonian coast in northern Greece, the storyteller Iolaus from Athens was captured by pirates and is trying to buy time by telling them the legend of his uncle Hercules. He recounts that Hercules' father was Zeus, king of the gods, but his mother was Alcmena, a mortal woman. Zeus' queen, Hera, saw the bastard child these two had together as an insult and tried to kill him, but Hercules inherited his father's strength and was nearly unbeatable. Once he reached adulthood, the gods commanded him to perform the 12 labors, and if he could complete them all and survive, Hera would let him live in peace. He battled powerful monsters like the Hydra, the Erymanthian boar, and the Nemean lion, whose skin was so tough that no weapon could penetrate it, so Hercules defeated it with his bare hands. The pirates are unimpressed with Iolaus' story, not believing a word of what he says. But at that moment, Hercules arrives to rescue him, wearing the lion's skin on his head. The pirates are not afraid because they are 40, but numbers are useless. Hercules can fight multiple men at once, and furthermore, he is not alone, his team came with him. The seer named Amphiaraus from Argos, the thief Autolycus from Sparta, the fierce warrior Tydeus from Thebes, and the Amazon archer Atalanta from Scythia. Together, this group of mercenaries easily defeats the pirates and rescues Iolaus. After tallying how many heads will be paid, Autolycus tells Iolaus that he needs to embellish Hercules' story so that people will believe it. While Amphiaraus receives a vision from the flames, they say that a lion and a raven will form a strange alliance and fight through a sea of bodies. Sometime later, the group goes to a tavern to celebrate their victory. Hercules tells Autolycus about his desire to go to lands beyond the seas to finally find peace, taking Tydeus with him because he is the only one who can control his rage. Suddenly, the tavern falls silent as a group of soldiers enters, with them Princess Erginia of Thrace, who asks Hercules and his team to accompany her to the palace to hear her father's proposal, promising a generous payment in gold. Iolaus observes the shields of the guards, which have a raven on them, and since Hercules' symbol is a lion, this would coincide with Amphiaraus' prophecy. When they arrive at the palace, Hercules cannot help but see a large group of refugees behind the walls. They are welcomed by General Cyticles, leader of the Thracian army, who does not seem very pleased with Hercules' presence, and Arius, Erginia's son, who is a big fan of him and knows all his stories. As they climb the stairs on their way inside, Hercules recalls an incident 3 years ago when he killed a Hydra, which were actually just a bunch of men wearing reptile-like helmets, for King Eurystheus of Athens, who declared him a hero in front of a huge crowd chanting his name. The memory suddenly turns bitter when he sees images of his wife and children being murdered, and Hercules does his best to ignore it and focus on the present. The group meets with Lord Cotys, the king of Thrace, who taunts Amphiaraus for not being able to see much of the future except his own death and judges Atalanta's abilities based on her gender. But she quickly proves him wrong by shooting the helmets from the guards' hands. He invites them to dinner and explains his problems. The country is in the midst of a civil war with a bloodthirsty warlord named Rhesus, who is believed to have an army of centaurs. Cotys shows Hercules all the refugees who arrive every day after Rhesus burns their villages and comments on losing most of his soldiers and that his current army is made up of farmers. Between him and his daughter, they make a speech to Hercules about bringing peace to the country, which helps him accept the job. The next day, Hercules and his team begin training the farmers turned soldiers, starting by testing the shield wall, which does not hold up well. A few hours later, Hercules meets with Cotys again, who has information about Rhesus thanks to one of his spies, Phineus. The tyrant will attack the Bessi tribe in central Thrace in 6 days, and Cotys wants to take the opportunity to march and stop him there before he goes further. Hercules does not agree with the idea, pointing out that the army needs more time to train, but Cotys does not listen and tells him to prepare because they will march the next day. Later, at night, after helping Atalanta get rid of unwanted attention from Cyticles, Hercules notices Arius approaching to see Tydeus sleeping chained to a chariot and almost hurts him when he gets close. Hercules takes the child away and explains that Tydeus was born in war, and when he found him, he was more animal than human. He saw something that traumatized him so deeply that he never speaks and relives his trauma every night, but Hercules still considers him his most loyal warrior. Later, he takes Arius back to Erginia, who is helping take care of the sick after losing so many doctors, she learned the art of healing herself to be able to help in some way. Before leaving, Hercules presents Arius with the Nemean lion's tooth, implying that it should have been a gift for his own children. The next day, the army prepares to march, and Hercules finds Iolaus hidden among the soldiers, intending to fight as well. He reminds him that he is a storyteller, not a warrior, before sending him to the chariot with Cotys, and together, they all set off for Bessie. When they arrive at the village, however, they discover that it is too late. Rhesus has already been there and destroyed everything, and the sea of bodies coincides with Amphiaraus's vision. Something is strange, though. While some of the bodies are clearly decaying for days, there are others on the ground that are still fresh. These bodies suddenly wake up and attack them because it has been a trap all along. Thinking that the Bessie tribe is under Rhesus' control, Hercules calls for a shield wall to form around Cotys as he and his team fight. The tribe's leader wants to challenge him directly, so, to create an illusion that Iolaus can take advantage of with his storytelling, Hercules gently breaks the tip of one of Atlanta's arrows, and when the tribe's leader approaches, he stabs him in the forehead with it, making it look like he killed him with just one punch. The army finds it incredibly inspiring and makes them believe that the gods are on their side. The real battle then begins. Hercules' team kills as many tribe members as possible, but there are too many, and they soon break through the shield wall. They come up with a simple plan. Hercules and Amphiaraus retrieve their chariots and start driving them in circles around the shield wall, pushing and killing tribe members along the way. The remaining soldiers take this opportunity to attack, but the tribe members recognize defeat when they see it and flee. Rhesus is not in sight, though a strangely shaped figure can be seen watching from afar. Hercules tells Cotys that losing half of his army is both his and Rhesus' fault because he warned him that the farmers were not ready to fight yet, and Cotys agrees to give him more time to train. Meanwhile, General Cytocles wants to kill Phineus for leading them into a trap, but Autolycus stops him and announces that he will be in charge of the spies from now on, although he threatens Phineus and warns him not to make another mistake. Moments later, Princess Erginia arrives with the healers, and she is taken to Hercules' private tent so that no one sees that he is bleeding like a mere mortal due to an injury he suffered during the battle. After she leaves him to rest, Hercules dreams of an old memory. It shows the bodies of his wife and children, his hands covered in blood, and King Eurystheus exiling him from the country instead of executing him, so that he can live forever with the guilt of killing his family. He wakes up from this nightmare when he hears some children laughing, and when he enters the forest to investigate, he finds his family dead among the bodies of the tribe members. Devouring them is a three-headed dog, Cerberus, and Hercules prepares to fight it, but Tydeus appears behind him and brings him back to reality, making him realize that he was imagining things. In the morning, Amphiaraus immediately knows what happened to him because it is not the first time, and advises Hercules to finish this final job and confront the beast to find peace. But Hercules thinks he is going crazy. While the two men are busy talking among themselves, Princess Erginia approaches the rest of the team to find out the truth behind the rumors. They explain to her that no one knows the truth. They found Hercules one day alone with the bodies of his family surrounding him, but he does not remember anything. In each of his adventures, he would meet one of the members of his team and show compassion for them, earning their loyalty. He was so good at what he did that no one could believe he could be mortal, and the team simply decided to follow the stories to help them get jobs. They think what happened to him was probably the blood fury, a common affliction that clouds the minds of warriors. From then on, Hercules and the team subject Cotys' army to a very rigorous training routine. They receive armor and weapons that mimic Hercules and are taught in the arts of the spear, bow and arrow, sword, hand-to-hand combat, and eventually manage to form a shield wall that Tydeus cannot break. Meanwhile, Iolaus watches from a hidden location, training in secret. One day, Phineus returns with new information. Rhesus is near Mount Asticus with an army of centaurs, and Hercules wants to fight him there before he advances further into his territory. It may be dangerous because the forest can slow down the chariots, but he has a plan. Unfortunately, Amphiaraus cannot help by telling whether they will win or not since he cannot see that, but he knows he will die in a week. A few days later, once the army is ready to fight, they arrive at Mount Asticus and find no enemy camp. However, the enemy is there. Rhesus' army appears on the horizon, and as they approach, they discover that they are not centaurs, just a group of men on horseback creating an optical illusion by standing against the sun. Rhesus comes to speak with Cotys with Phineas by his side, who has actually been working for the enemy all along. Cotys is asked to surrender, but he refuses, and both sides prepare to go into battle. Cotys' army raises the shield wall and releases the flanks, but the first to attack are actually Atlanta and her archers, who suddenly appear in chariots coming out of the forest, ambushing the enemy when they are almost reaching their side. When flaming arrows are fired, Amphiaraus opens his arms, ready to accept his fate, but somehow none of them manages to hit him. The battle is long and hard. Rhesus' army may be larger, but Hercules' soldiers have better formation and soon dominate the enemy. Rhesus' soldiers begin to flee, but he decides to stay and challenge Hercules directly, which proves to be a bad idea. Hercules easily grabs his horse and throws them to the ground with a quick move. Sometime later, when they return to the palace with Rhesus in chains, Cotys starts humiliating him in front of his people, but Hercules takes pity on him and helps him to continue. As they walk together, Rhesus tries to explain to him that Cotys is actually a tyrant and that it was not his men who burned all those villages, it was Cotys. During the celebration banquet, Rhesus is chained to 2 columns to be displayed as a trophy, and Princess Erginia tries to give him water, but Cotys does not allow it. Then comes the time for his coronation, because now that Thrace is no longer divided, Cotys is the king of everything. When Princess Erginia leaves the room after Rhesus calls Cotys again, Hercules becomes suspicious and follows her, demanding that she share what she knows. She admits that Rhesus is telling the truth. It was Cotys who started this war after poisoning her husband, the true king, to take his place. However, she did not participate because she approves of her father's actions. She did it because Cotys threatened to kill her son if she tried to rebel. Erginia tries to convince Hercules to take Arius with him when they leave, but Hercules refuses before they are found by General Siticles, who tells him that Cotys is looking for him. Hercules goes to confront Cotys, accusing him of betraying him, but Cotys finds it hilarious that mercenaries who would do anything for gold have suddenly developed a conscience. He admits to wanting his own empire and invites Hercules to lead his army, but as he refuses the offer, he pays him and his team what they agreed to before kicking them out. When they reach their chariots, Hercules hands his money to Autolycus because he wants to stay and save Thrace. He does not expect the team to stay with him and allows everyone to leave with their reward and have a good life, but Atlanta reminds him that they follow him not because they feel they owe him something but because they are a family. The whole team decides to stay and fight, except Autolycus, who leaves with all the gold after calling them crazy. The group easily infiltrates the palace, but General Siticles is waiting for them and surrounds them with his soldiers. After making them drop their weapons, he also tells Cotys that he heard Erginia conspiring with Hercules to take Arius from him. Cotys takes the child from Erginia when she is captured by the soldiers, and Arius tries to go to Hercules for help, secretly returning the lion's tooth before Cotys drags him back by the hair. Hercules is knocked out while trying to save the child and wakes up a few hours later, chained to a wall and seeing Cerberus in front of him. As his vision slowly clears, he realizes that they are actually 3 wolves, and they look familiar to him. They belong to King Eurystheus, who is now entering the area along with Cotys because they have been working together all along to rule all of Greece. After seeing all his friends imprisoned in cages around him, Hercules slowly regains his memory. Cerberus had always been an illusion of his mind. What he saw that night 3 years ago were the wolves, which attacked his family after Eurystheus put a sedative in his drink so he couldn't do anything. Eurystheus admits this is true, and he did it because he didn't like how his people shouted Hercules' name louder than his, as if he were some kind of god that could be a threat to his power, and it had to be eliminated. A man with ambition can be bought, but someone like Hercules, who wants nothing, is very dangerous. Cotys has his soldiers remove Erginia from the cage to be executed, and Hercules feels helpless as he can only watch. However, when Amphiaraus reminds him that they all believe in him and that he should believe in himself too, Hercules remembers who he is and gathers all his strength to tear the chains from the wall and go save Erginia. Cotys and the others run out of the room and leave the wolves to take care of him while Erginia uses the axe with which she was about to be executed to open the cage doors. The wolves give Hercules a good fight, biting and injuring him in several parts of his body, but one by one, Hercules manages to dominate and kill them, striking the last one with the lion's tooth. His final task is finally complete. Erginia frees the entire team, and they pick up some weapons left behind by the soldiers while Hercules shows his strength again by lifting a metal door that allows them to escape from the dungeon. As they climb the stairs, soldiers continue to try to stop them, but they have no trouble fighting back and making their way. When a flaming spear is thrown at them, Amphiaraos once again believes that his time has come and opens his arms to accept his fate, but Hercules catches it and kills a soldier with it, saving his old friend. While the team deals with the remaining soldiers, Hercules goes after Eurystheus, who begins to invent various excuses for what happened to Hercules' family, like saying he was being controlled by Codies. He also tries to give orders to Hercules as king and even offers money, but Hercules does not care about any of that. He grabs Eurystheus by the neck, throws him on the throne, and stabs him with his own dagger, finally getting revenge for his family. Now he can move on and find peace after all this is over. His thoughts are suddenly interrupted by a whip around his neck. It's Cydicles, who throws Hercules to the ground and prepares to kill him, only to be stabbed when Iolaus catches him by surprise from behind. After finally calling his nephew a warrior, the two join the team, who has rescued Rhesus, and together they leave the palace, freezing as soon as they see Codies waiting for them with his army. Ares is being held hostage by a soldier, and Codies threatens to kill him if Hercules does not surrender. Suddenly, the soldier falls dead from a knife thrown at him. It's Autolycus, who has returned to help. Now free, Ares runs to his mother while another battle begins, and Tydeus jumps to protect him from the approaching arrows. Ares joins them safely, and Tydeus manages to kill most of the archers but is also hit by several arrows in return. While the others knock down the chandeliers to create a wall of fire between them and Codies' army, Hercules picks up Tydeus and watches him die after saying the only word he has ever said in his life, Hercules' name. Codies' army begins to advance after most of the flames go out, and Hercules sees only one way to stop them. Using his extraordinary strength one more time, he pushes a giant statue of Hera off its base, which shatters into hundreds of pieces that crush many soldiers and push Codies into the abyss. With their king dead, one by one the soldiers begin to kneel to Hercules and chant his name, accepting him as their new leader, thus finally ending his arduous journey for redemption.